Game developers are wasting their time developing titles for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and the PC. They should be focusing all their time and effort in maximizing their support for Nintendo Switch consoles.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Hey guys, been a while. Been busy. I haven't done any uploads. But hey, we're back and as you can see, we are looking at a fool. This fool, his name is Harmon Smith. He is a Nintendrone. Usually we look at Sony ponies. Now just think of a Nintendo fanboy on the pony level of retardation. And that's what we call a Nintendrone, guys. So, what does this guy have to say? Well, according to Mr. Smith over here, every single game should be only released exclusively on the Switch. It's gonna be fun.
Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of Eye of the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole lore and friend in the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon.
I wonder how many takes that took for him to get right. Man's plugging his whole life like anyone gives a shit for all like couple hundred of his subscribers. Now, I'm not one to talk because I've got less than he does, but I ain't trying to show shit, alright? Just saying.
Game developers are wasting their time developing titles for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and the PC. They should be focusing all their time and effort in maximizing their support for Nintendo Switch consoles.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. The Switch is a really successful console, okay? It's outsold the PS4, and it's probably outselling the Wii, which was the previous highest selling console from Nintendo. So I'll give him, it is a successful console, alright? And on paper, that's not a bad idea. I do think that a lot of third-party developers could show the Switch a lot more love. But to be honest with you, that's more down to Nintendo's fault because their consoles are shit. They're not powerful at all. They're hard to develop for. They have to nerf games. Hell, Hogwarts Legacy's coming out for the Switch, and Switch ports of other games always come out years later. Look at Apex Legends. That shit runs on 20 FPS on handheld mode, and if you're lucky, it might cap 30 on docked mode. It's not a great experience for a gamer. Fortnite, same problem. God, imagine if they tried to run Destiny over there. In fact, let's use Destiny as an example. Destiny was able to run on the 360, okay? So that means your console has to be more weak than the 360. The Switch is just not up there with the power. I do reckon a lot of developers would. I mean, they've tried to show this console, the Switch, a lot of love, actually, because they've put impossible ports on there. Hell, they've even resorted to cloud gaming. You know, games like The Witcher, which you wouldn't think that would go on the Switch, it's on the Switch. Because the Switch is a very popular console. I get that. I hear it. Problem is, the hardware's holding it back. And that's a Nintendo's problem.
Every game should be coming out on the most successful gaming platform. This isn't like rocket science. This isn't all that complicated. All we're seeing now is a lot of bluster, a lot of nonsense, a lot of like weird claims from developers who are paid off by Sony in order to support other platforms, but not Nintendo, into not supporting Nintendo Switch. That's what we're seeing here. Let's be real here. This has been happening since the 90s. It's been like a very prevalent problem, but now it's becoming more and more obvious because...
Is this guy serious? Like, yeah, Sony do pay developers to keep their games off of some consoles, but I'll tell you this now, it's definitely not the Switch. Sony don't give a fuck about the Switch. They know that the Switch's target market is different from Sony's. The only gaming console that Sony is scared of is Microsoft, because they've been paying to keep games like Final Fantasy VII off of Game Pass and off of the console. They paid to keep Resident Evil Village off of Game Pass. You know, hell, their Persona Strikers came out on the Nintendo Switch and it came out on the PlayStation. Still waiting for that Xbox port though. Where is that? Even Persona Arena, a bunch of games, a bunch of JRPGs, a bunch of Japanese games. They just don't manage to find their way onto the Xbox. They'll find their way onto the Switch, because as we found out due to the confidential emails that have leaked with the whole Activision Blizzard stuff, Sony have come up with this new clause called the Xbox Exclusion Clause. So yeah, it is a thing, but it doesn't happen to Nintendo consoles at all. It doesn't affect Nintendo in any way, shape or form. So I don't know what the fuck this guy's on about.
The PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X have absolutely nothing to offer to gamers whatsoever.
Really, dude? Nothing to offer gamers? What about Halo, Gears of War, Forza? All great games. And even with Sony's side of things, Spider-Man, Final Fantasy, Ratchet & Clank. Hell, I'm not even a Ratchet & Clank fan. I'm not really much of a Horizon Forbidden West fan either. God of War. There's so many games that both consoles offer which are great. So saying they have nothing to offer is quite ludicrous, actually. And hell, even the third-party games that are too powerful to run on the Switch, such as Elden Ring, Call of Duty, Madden, WWE, they have plenty to offer. But then the Switch also has plenty to offer, so I don't get what the problem is.
The big new game of this generation, Hogwarts Legacy, is also coming to Switch, right? You have games that are available on every platform. You have games that really should be available on Switch. There is no justification for Resident Evil 4 Remake or Elden Ring or Returnal or any of these other multi-platform games to not be available on Nintendo Switch.
In the words of my Nigerian uncles, let me tell you something, my friend. My brother, let me tell you something. The reason why these fantastic games are not available on your shitty hardware is because the game is too powerful to run on the hardware. The game will crash on the hardware because the Nintendo Switch is like a potato. Now seriously, how can you turn around and say that? There's no justification. Bro, there's plenty of justification. How about the thing is so out of date, the 360 could probably run Elden Ring better than the Switch ever could. And I'm sure developers would love to port their games over. I mean, a lot of developers would have really tried with the Switch. You know, you've had Resident Evil games on the Switch. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Dude, that game's beautiful. Problem is, you can't run that shit on the Switch because the hardware. It's all down to the hardware, my friend. I'm sure if the hardware was on par with the... Hell, if it was on par with the Xbox One X, okay, which was powerful until this new generation come along. If it was on par with that, you know what? They could probably make a port that would work. No problem. No problem whatsoever. In fact, I'm surprised that they haven't made a Switch port for GTA 5. I mean, they got it to work on the 360. And that's saying something. Because if they got a game to work on the 360 and they can't get it to run on the Switch, there's a problem there. And I don't think it's the devs' problem. I think it's Nintendo's problem. Because Nintendo have, for a very long time, since the 90s, may I add, have insisted on using out-of-date hardware. They use cartridges with the Nintendo 64. And I'm not bashing Nintendo 64. That's actually one of my favorite consoles ever, okay? They use those mini discs for the GameCube. I guess they kind of tried with the Wii and the Wii U, but then they went back to cartridges. So they got no one to blame but themselves. They actually make it harder for third parties to come in and develop games. In fact, they make it hard for people to come and port games to their console. So don't know what to tell you, man. And we've seen the results of this, such as games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And even Bayonetta 3 to an extent. I think developers are just losing patience with the hardware that the Switch is offering, and it needs an upgrade, which will probably end up coming soon. Also, Returnal's exclusive to the PS5.
And in essence, if a developer really wants to produce high quality, unique, interesting stuff at an affordable price, right? If they want to stay within their budget, if they don't want to blow $100 million on Forspoken, they should be developing for the Nintendo Switch, which is a much more reasonably priced, reasonably powered
That's a fake laugh.
It's real!
My nigga, the Xbox Series S is much more powerful than the Switch and a lot cheaper. Same as the PS4 Pro, same as the One X. So, bro, you tripping. That's all I'm saying. Nigga, you tripping.
If they want to make good, compelling video games, they should be focusing on making good, compelling video games, not on supporting useless pieces of hardware that really have no business existing to begin with, right? PS5 and Xbox Series X should not be supported, okay? They shouldn't even be available for sale. I can tell you that I've had more fun playing Nintendo Switch Sports than I would have playing Elden Ring, right? It's more challenging, it's more complex, there's more to do in the game, there's more technical depth, there's more variety in the gameplay. Like, Nintendo Switch Sports just dominates Elden Ring, and I feel like very few people will want to admit that because they want to continue deluding themselves into thinking that like Elden Ring is somehow cutting edge or like.
This nigga just deadass compared Elden Ring to Switch Sports. Now look, I haven't played either of them, okay? I played Wii Sports, and I've played Souls-like games. And I can tell you that, okay, from a personal perspective, I can see how one would enjoy Switch Sports more than Elden Ring. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you that Switch Sports is better than Elden Ring, because they're in two different leagues. It's like comparing pears to potatoes. It just doesn't add up.
The best game on the market when really it's not even close. There are better action RPGs. There are better open world games. There are better games, period, on Nintendo Switch, and yet...
Yeah, like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Great open world games, am I right, guys?
If you're an Xbox fan, you're going to own every single game company on the planet, and you have Xbox Game Pass, which is the most successful gaming streaming service in the world, which isn't true, by the way. Nintendo Switch Online is more popular.
You serious?
Do you know what, bro? That was just so rude. Like, that was just so disrespectful. To the point where I can't even say anything smart to that. Nah. This guy's just lost the plot, honestly. I don't care how much of a fanboy you are. You cannot deny, okay? The same way I, as an Xbox fan, as an Xbox guy who grew up with the Xbox, I cannot deny that PlayStation has more exclusives. Might not all be good, but they got more than we do. The same way, I can't deny that Nintendo is in a world of its own. It's not head-to-head with anyone. They just do their own thing in the corner, alright? You cannot sit there and tell me that Nintendo Switch Online... Now, Yoshi is my favorite video game character ever, okay? But you can't sit there and tell me that Nintendo Switch Online is better than Game Pass. Nah, that's just rude. That is rude as fuck. Nah.
Why exactly are we here? Like, how exactly did we get to this point? Like, it really does feel like the vast majority of gaming YouTubers, of critics, of journalists, of analysts, like, they're just downplaying the very real fact that Switch is the most popular platform by far for actually playing games. They just don't want to admit it. They just do not want to admit that Nintendo has won the console war. And
oh my god, wow. Alright, first off, why is a 30-something / 40-something-year-old man still console warring? Leave that shit to the kids on the high school playground, okay? Second one is, just because a console has outsold its competitors, it doesn't mean it's the most popular, necessarily. And I'd give you an example. The 360 sold 83 million units, okay? Or 85, one of the two. I haven't got the figures in front of me. And the PlayStation 3 sold something like 87 million units. They sold 5 million more than their competitor. But guess what? If you ask most people, Most people will talk about the 360. The 360 was the better console that generation. The 360 was the GOAT that generation. No one gave a fuck about the PS3. Most people who bought the PS3 just wanted a fucking Blu-ray player, to be honest with you. Literally it. So, console sales don't necessarily mean much. Because what good is a console sale if no one remembers it? Like I said, the 360 sold a little bit less than the PlayStation 3, but guess what? A lot of people still talk about the 360. No one talks about the PlayStation 3. I got both. I like both of them. But I'll tell you this now, 360 was way better.
Enough is enough, right? If you're not playing exclusively on Nintendo hardware, you are not a fan of video games. If you're talking about the Last of Us HBO, you're not a gamer. If you talk about like Xbox Game Pass, a bunch of these old games that you can easily acquire and other used through a variety of different means, you're not a gamer. If you care about like Xbox or PlayStation at all, you're not a gamer. Like if you downplay some of the very best games in the entire industry, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Metroid, like you are not a gamer. That is what we're seeing here, is that a bunch of people who are trying to push agendas to try to establish some kind of niche community in their online about like hating Nintendo. We can't allow this to continue. You are not gamers.
So yes, guys, you heard it from the gatekeeper of gaming. If you are someone who enjoys Sony TV series like The Last of Us, if you're someone who enjoys playing God of War, if you're someone who enjoys playing Halo or something on PC like Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft, you are not a real gamer, okay? You are only a real gamer if you play exclusively Nintendo games on your Switch, preferably in handheld mode. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with this guy? Do you disagree with this guy? Am I being a douchebag? Probably am. Who cares? If you want to follow me on social media, I've got my Twitter, Discord, Twitch. Shout me sometime, whatever. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be in 2 or 3 years, maybe 10.